All right. Democrats, well, they love the talk that we've been hearing about challenging same-sex marriage. As you heard from May, it's something Republicans do not want to talk about. Democrats do. Here's the president today.
The choice is clear. We either elect federal senators and representatives who will codify Roe, or Republicans who will elect the House and Senate who will try to ban abortions nationwide. Nationwide. This is going to go one way or the other after November.
Well, the White House is near giddy at the opportunity to talk about something other than gas prices, and polling shows it could help not only turn around the base in November, but pull back swing voters angry about the economy. Niles Standage is here, White House columnist for our sister publication, The Hill. Niall, good to see you. How long does the White House think this is going to last?
Well, the battle over social issues generally could last for a long time. Obviously, the outrage on the Liberal side over the abortion ruling is very high now, but we are seeing many efforts at the state level to mount legal challenges to preserve the right to abortion in some states that are trying to ban or seriously restrict that right. So clearly the Supreme Court ruling is by no means the end of the matter, and therefore the issue will be politically salient for a while, I imagine.
I'm going to play a clip that we played in the beginning, which was CNN talking to President Biden's chief economic advisor. Take a listen.
What do you say to those families who say, listen, we can't afford to pay $4.85 a gallon for months, if not years. This is just not sustainable.
Well, what you heard from the president today was a clear articulation of the stakes. This is about the future of the liberal world order, and we have to stand firm.
You've got states suspending sales tax because of how bad the economy is and how much people are hurting. How does the White House plan to keep the focus on abortion through November?
So I'd say a couple of things about that, Leland. I think that clearly any political party would prefer to talk about issues that favour them than disfavour them. So to that extent, yes, the White House does want to keep the focus on this rather than the economy, which is a much less advantageous issue. But the counterpoint is the fact that something brings you political advantage doesn't necessarily mean you're insincere. Protecting the right to choose is a pretty central democratic argument.
It always has been. You know, you think about going back to Bill Clinton. Safe, legal, and rare, something no Republican or Democrat right now could say. But Democrats have taken it way beyond that. Some of the more, I shouldn't say extreme, now sort of the baseline Democratic view on abortion on demand. Take a listen.
Do you support any limitation on abortion, or do you think that women should have the right to have an abortion all the way up to 9 months?
I believe an abortion is a medical decision, and I believe that that should be a choice made between a doctor and a woman and in consultation with her family.
Are there any limits on abortion you would find appropriate?
I don't believe so, no. I believe that is between a woman and her physician, and it's certainly not between me or any politician.
My question was about any limits to abortion at any point. You know, late term, anything?
Look, you got to leave it up to the woman.
President Biden said essentially the same thing today, no limits. Is there any discussion, not publicly, but with your sources at the White House, of trying to find a more palatable middle that perhaps swing voters would be on board with?
The palatable middle, it seems to me, is support for Roe versus Wade. Abortion is obviously an enormously emotive, intimate, visceral issue. And when you ask people about the specifics of, for example, abortions very late in pregnancy, then obviously its acceptability goes down overall. But when you ask people about Roe versus Wade, there is a pretty solid majority in favour of the law that has now been struck down. It typically registers around 60% in opinion polls. I think that's why you're seeing the president emphasise that point and the point you were mentioning in the previous segment, Leland, about the right to privacy and the other rights that stem from that and whether they are then endangered.
Yeah, the Democrats really view what Ken Paxton said as a way to tie everything together and say, this is where America's going. Vote for us so it doesn't go there. Niall, as an Irishman, I know you enjoy celebrating your independence from the British, as we do as well. Happy July 4th, my friend.
Common ground, Leland, common ground. Happy July 4th to you too.
Indeed. Speaking of July 4th, thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.